Everybody, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 11 books that are on my fall TBR. Fall reading is some of my favorite reading. It's around this time of year when I really start to gear more into fantasy. Granted, I do read fantasy all year round, but I specifically love a good fantasy book in the fall time. I'm so excited for some of the ones I have picked out for this year. I feel like there are some really good ones that I'm really looking forward to. I have my tea, I have my coffee, and without further ado, let's get into the very first book. No! I guess this is my sign that I do not need to be drinking coffee at like 5 o'clock. Well, I'm back after cleaning that up. I've divided the 11 books into different genres. I have romance, romantasy, and then fantasy. I do have a differentiation between romantasy and fantasy because I feel like a romantasy is one that the romance and the fantasy go hand in hand, and the romance is a very big plot line in that. Fantasy, it's more of a just fantasy. There might be like a subplot of romance, but it's definitely more of a fantasy. So I'm going to start out with the romance, then I'll go into the romantasy and then the fantasy at the very end. My coffee stained notes now. I only have 2 romances. So starting out is Trustfall by Lynn Painter. This is actually a YA new release. I don't think it's out until the end of September, maybe around the 29th, I believe. I actually so gratefully received an ARC of Trustfall by Lynn Painter. I have not yet read it, but I will read it very soon. I actually really enjoy Lynn Painter's YA romances. I did read Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. I really loved it. And then I also read Betting on You, and I also really enjoyed that. So I am really looking forward to reading Trustfall, especially because I think the cover is so cute. But this basically follows a small town girl. Her and her family inherit a fortune from their neighbor, and they don't really know why, but this prompts them to end up moving to New York City. There, she meets a big city boy who will be our male main character, and she actually gets enrolled in this elite private school, but she is failing. And this big city boy is now her tutor, but there's a catch because he's actually the neighbor's grandson, and he's on this mission to find out why her and her family were the ones to receive their fortune rather than him and his family. That is all I know about this book, other than that Lynn Painter wrote it and I think the cover is super cute. The final primarily romance book that is on my fall TBR is Main Characters by Bobby Palmer. I've seen a lot of good things about this book. I've seen a lot of people give it 5 stars. I don't really think I've seen anything actually negative about this book, but I did note that it does have like a 3-star rating on Goodreads. What I know about this book is that this is actually a romance told from every single point of view except for the main characters. I don't think that a point of view is ever repeated either. So this takes place in London. You follow Clara, who is an aspiring director, but she's stuck in an entry-level job. And then you also follow Seb, and he kind of floats between music, modeling, and now acting. And I believe that their paths keep crossing. I don't know if this is like told over the course of a couple years, but all I know is that it's told from every single point of view except for theirs. And I've seen a lot of people say that for it being told like that, it's still such a very impactful story. So I am very excited to read this. I actually have it on hold at the library, and I think my hold is coming in soon. My hold is ready in about 2 weeks. So I will be reading this very soon. I'm very excited, and I really hope I like it. The next book is my first romantasy on this list, and this is Souls in Ruin by Jacqueline White. This follows an illegitimate princess, and she is caught in between the revenge of gods. She is wed to a foreign king, and I think he's very aloof and standoffish, and she expects him to be kind of cruel, but she actually ends up just being like a prisoner. And I'm not entirely sure if there is a love triangle in this. I read the synopsis a couple times, and it kind of makes it sound like there is at least some form of love triangle, maybe, or at least she's caught in between 2 sides. She has to choose between a lesser of 2 evils. I'm not really entirely sure. I think I saw a TikTok review of this, or I don't know if it was Bookstagram, but I saw someone say they really liked it, and that was enough for me to add it to my fall TBR. The next book is Immortal Rose by Alexandra Bracken, and this book is set in a world where it is ruled by magical perfume. I thought that seemed like a very interesting and unique concept. I've never read a fantasy book that follows that. I don't know if I've ever seen any others that a little bit similar, but the female main character in the story is the last heir to this Roseborn family, and she has the ability to infuse fragrance with magic. And there was a murder within this kingdom that has left the kingdom vulnerable to a coup. And so the royal spy master seeks out our female main character and basically bargains with her to have her create this magical perfume, like antidote, to save the kingdom. I believe this author also wrote lore, which I've never read, but I thought the premise of this seemed really interesting and unique, and I am very excited to read this. I also have this on hold through the library, so fingers crossed I get to this soon. And the next book is The Winged Game by Sophie Kim, and this is a fantasy sports romance with winged beasts. I thought that sounded really interesting, but I feel like this either has the power to be really good or really bad. Similar to like a rugby-esque sport, but you're on like, of course, a winged animal. So I don't know how that will work. I think if the sport is explained well and is kind of high stakes and interesting, the book has the potential to be really good. But I feel like I could also probably get really lost if it's not explained well. Within the story, the female main character is a disgraced star of a brutal magical sport team. She must team up with her rival who basically destroyed her career. I think this is enemies to lovers, and I think that they must team up in like a fake relationship to, I don't know if it's to like boost her image or to boost like his team's image. I don't entirely know, but I do believe there is fake dating in this. I'm excited. I hope I like it. And then the next book is, of course, ACOTAR 6, which is A Court of Splintered Harmony. And with this, I am doing a full reread of the ACOTAR series, which I don't know how that's gonna work out with all these other books on my fall TBR, because this is 11 books right here, and there's like, what, 5 books of those I'll have to reread. So I'm nervous. I feel like that will take priority just because I really do need to prepare for this new release. This comes out on October 27th, I think. I really can't even tell you what this book is about because the synopsis for one is pretty vague, and then I would also have to tell you the synopsis of the whole ACOTAR series, and I feel like everybody knows A Court of Thorns and Roses at this point. So I'm so excited, and I'm really trying not to let myself get too into these fan theories, because that's exactly what happened and what I did with Crescent City 3, and I was so disappointed when I read that book. But granted, I didn't really like Crescent City series much in general, so I'm having fun seeing what people are saying and what people are speculating, but I know to keep my expectations low because I know probably some of these theories that I think are so great won't come true. I'm so excited. I will definitely do a reading vlog of when I do read this. And the last book that is in my romantasy category is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. And I'm going to be so honest with you, when I was taking my notes, I read the synopsis like 2 times, and I feel like nothing computed to my brain that was written in the synopsis. This is a romantasy. I know that there were once dragons in this world, and the dragons flew to the sky and are like in the sky as moons. So she's an assassin, and I'm pretty sure she gets caught by this group that are elementals, and they want to turn her into a political statement. Then someone who killed the king, the guy, the male main character who killed the king, I think, sees her and I don't even know, like is reminded of the past. I don't know. Have seen a lot of people really like the second book that just came out. So I'm hoping to read this book, enjoy it, and then I will read the second book. But I probably won't read that book, the second book, until like the winter time, honestly. And honestly, probably a lot of these books will carry on to my winter TBR because I'm entering a very busy couple of months. And in my mind, fall is September through October. And now we will go into my fantasy portion of my fall TBR. So these are books that either don't have a romance subplot, or if they do, it's more minor. So the next book is Empire by Sabaa Tahir. I am so excited for this book. This is the second book in the Heir duology. The first book is Heir, and then this is also a spin-off of An Ember in the Ashes series. I read An Ember in the Ashes and Heir last year, and I love that series so much. I gave Heir 5 stars, hoping so much that this book is also a 5-star. I am so excited to read this, and I really can't tell you too much about this book without spoiling Heir, but I can at least tell you what Heir is about. You most likely would need to read An Ember in the Ashes and that whole quartet first prior to reading Heir. It follows Quinn, Sorsha, and Aiz, and Quinn is the heir to a kingdom. However, someone is currently ruling in place of him until he gets a little bit older. And then Sorsha, or Saoirse, is a tracker, and she has magical abilities that just basically allow her to track people very well. And she agrees to hunt down a killer who has been murdering children across this whole entire continent, basically. And then Aiz is from a very poor and impoverished, I think it's, I don't know if it's a kingdom, like of a territory or a country, and she has this need for vengeance, but she's doing it out of the love of her people. And so you basically just follow them along, these three characters in Air, and it's so good. The way the story is told, like it got me at times. So good. I love Sabo's writing, and I love Air so much. It was one of my favorite books I read last year. Same thing with the whole Ember and the Ashes series. I really was not expecting to like them as much as I did. They are all YA, but they're so impactful and really high stakes at times too. And I loved those books, and I loved the characters so much, and I'm so excited for Empire. I know I'm going to be emotionally destroyed. But that's okay. The next book is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang, and within this book you follow Sayana, I don't know how to say her name, our female main character, and she has devoted her whole entire life to the study of magic, and she becomes the first ever woman to be admitted into the High Magistry at the University of Magics and Industry. And the whole time she's there, she's constantly undermined. And instead of a lab assistant to help with her research, she is given a janitor instead. However, the janitor was not always a janitor, and he was once a nomadic hunter, and he sees a chance to understand what has happened to his people and his tribe killed, and then also uncover the forces that kind of drove him from his homeland. And so the two of them work together and they discover this ancient secret. I have seen so many good things about this book. I'm really hoping to get to it soon. I also have this book on hold. The next book is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I have read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and I think that's the only book I read by her. So within Ninth House, you follow Alex Stern, and she is the sole survivor of a multiple homicide. It's unsolved, and when she's in the hospital bed, she is approached and offered a second chance, and she's offered to attend Yale on a full ride, and the only catch is that she has to monitor Yale's secret societies. That's all I know about this book. There's a second book, and then there is a third book that is coming out, I think very soon, I think this year. I've seen some people really love these books, and I've seen some people really not like these books. So I am hoping to like it. Both this one, both Ninth House and Blood Over Brighthaven are dark academia, so I feel like they are that perfect like October-esque read. So I'm really hoping I like Ninth House. And the very last book on my fall TBR is The Painted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is a like fantasy mystery, and this is a series as well. It is the Anna and Din series, I think that's its name. But within this story, a high imperial officer has been found dead, and he's killed, and from his body a tree grows. And so Anna has been called in to investigate, and she brings her assistant Din with her. The synopsis said that Anna is like very quirky, and she wears a blindfold and doesn't like to leave her house. I don't know if how important that information is like to the story, if that's actually true, or if that's just like, oh, like her to paint out that she's like different in her methods. But Din is also an engraver who is magically altered to possess a perfect memory, and so together they're just working to figure out this mystery. I've seen a lot of good things about this book, and I've seen some other good things about the series as well, so I'm really hoping to enjoy this. I love a good mystery book. I have so much fun just reading along and trying to figure out what happened and who did it. So I feel like a magical like mystery fantasy elements could be so fun, so I'm very much looking forward to this. I think I also have this book on hold at the library as well, so I'm sure I'll get to it soon, hopefully. Those are the 11 books that are on my fall TBR. I would love to know if you guys have read any of these, if you've enjoyed them, and what books are on your fall TBR. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!